Seline Shenoy is in the house. She is an author, podcaster, mother, transformational coach, essentially, right? How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You look gorgeous. I love that.
Thank
Your hair is so pretty.
I'm so happy to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Tell us about your journey becoming the dream catcher.
Well, I was born and raised in Dubai, which is in the UAE, for those of you who don't know where that is. And I went to school here, actually. I went to the UIUC and Emerson College. And after that, I worked in the corporate world for a bit. And then I realized that, I always loved personal development and spirituality and all that stuff. So I actually wanted to get into a career where I could actually help people using the knowledge that I accumulated. So I got a coaching certification and I started working in coaching. I was at a holistic center, I did sessions, I did workshops. And
But why? Why did you go on this journey? What was it about you that you decided you wanted to be a coach and share this with other people?
You know, I actually started watching Oprah when I was 15.
Oprah. It always starts with Oprah, right?
That's such
Now the story gets interesting. So, and of course, she has a platform where she features all these experts, as you know, right? At that time, it was the Oprah Winfrey Show. And so I saw people like Cheryl Richardson, I saw Dr. Phil, Gary Zukav, and I started reading their books. And so I always felt intuitively drawn in that direction. So it's just something that came naturally to me. So I said, hey, why don't I, try making something of this? And of course, I started in my 20s, like in my mid-20s. So I'm a relatively younger coach. So my target market was more like teenagers in the beginning. Because
So most coaches have a story. There's a reason why they've had to overcome something, and that's generally what has their specific audience. It really speaks to their specific audience, right? So if it's like maybe someone was battling depression or someone had to overcome cancer or something. So for you, do you have something in particular that happened to you that you relate to that you're...
Yeah, absolutely. When I grew up, I faced a lot of body image issues. I was overweight when growing up, and I was bullied as a kid, and that really, obviously, it affected my self-esteem. And I realized, I really felt I had this visceral experience of what it feels like to not fit in, not only because of the way I looked. But because of the cultural component, I never felt like I belonged to my culture. Like I always felt different. My native culture is Indian, and it's a very collectivistic culture. So, and I've always been like an independent person, doing my own thing, and I didn't subscribe to old gender roles, and that sometimes got in the way of people understanding me. It's really hard to find my tribe. And so I always knew what it felt like to be the one who didn't fit in. So that's why I reached out for books. That's why I try to look for mentors in the form of all these experts.
It's such an interesting thing. A couple girls came up to me. I had an event last night, on transformation event, and a gal came up to me and she said, I've always felt different. I've always felt separated. And I said, welcome to being human. Because if you take a look at all the people, it always comes down to, I don't feel like I'm enough, and I feel like I'm different. And so that's like the common. So now what? So how do you take your client and go, okay, we have this. How do we heal this? How do we overcome this? What's that process for you?
Well, first of all, I try to find out what is the core issue. What are some of the belief systems that are driving their actions? I think it really comes down to what do you believe in about yourself and about the world, because that is essentially the lens through which you see everything in your life.
Totally.
So I get to the core of that, and once I work with that, then we go about, what kind of lifestyle do you have? Is it helping you stay in alignment with who you are, and does it meet your needs? Does it meet, the needs of your mind, your body, your spirit? Do you feel balanced within you? Do you feel authentic? Do you feel like you're following your true path? All those are some of the the main questions that we address in a nutshell.
And we know that logically we can work those things, or we can even write it out. But we know that 98% of our life is being ran by our subconscious.
Absolutely.
So how do you help deal with their subconscious?
Well, if you get into the nitty-gritty of it, I first of all ask them to list down their belief systems, and we go over it. And if there are any dysfunctional patterns that they display, then we kind of try to find a way to find modalities through which that they can replace those with more empowering beliefs. There are different tools out there. You know, you have NLP, you have cognitive behavioral techniques.
Do you work with hypnotherapy? Hypnotherapy? I
have done a certification in that, but I don't actively use it because it's not something that really calls to me.
So much constructive than what I do. I just take them drinking. And I'm like, they just start spilling their guts. Like, wow. That would have taken 6 months without the drinking.
Well, you make sure people are happy and having fun, and there's an art in that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people try to escape their pain through like drinking, and it's escapism, right?
Totally.
And it can come in the form of drinking and drugs, social media,
sex.
like
all kinds of eggs, shopping, coffee,
whatever,
lots of coffee. No, just kidding.
Whatever they can do to shut that voice within them that's saying, "Hey, something's wrong here." You know, they just don't want to hear that voice because I believe we all have this voice inside us that tells us. That it's kind of like we all have a soul compass that tells us, that, hey, something's off, but we just refuse to listen.
What about the people who do refuse to listen, who don't believe it's possible to live the life that they dream of? What do you say to them?
Well, I mean, you would have to look at, again, what causes them to believe that? There's obviously something that's blocking them, and for every individual it's different. What is it? Maybe they had a family history of a family who didn't really kind of condition them to think in a healthy way, to view the world in a healthy way.
I love that. I think one of the other things, I had a friend once, and he would always say to me, or say to other people, I can show you better than I can tell you. And I do think there's, and it's one of the things I appreciate about you, is that,
Thank you.
I think demonstrating a life of inspiration, demonstrating the life that you want other people to be open to sort of receiving is probably one of the highest teachings too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so how has your life changed as you've sort of learned, these practices and tools and things, what do you now love about your life that maybe you didn't expect to have grown into at this point?
Well, I have to say that there is still a lot that I want to accomplish in my life, but this has all helped me really stay grounded and balanced because, sometimes I have to deal I think we all have to deal with, especially for me in my culture, in the society that I live in, I have to live with people who think differently and who don't necessarily support what I do and how I think and how I live. So I think, having tools like this really helps you. I mean, I don't second guess myself anymore. It's like I know who I am, and I know that as long as I'm doing the right thing and I'm helping people out in the process, it doesn't matter if I don't fit the cultural mold, if I don't fit the social mold. I know this may not sound very familiar to you guys out here in the States, but it's a big part of my life, and for most women in my culture. So we're trying to straddle between two worlds, basically, and that is a challenge for us. That is a challenge for us, and that is something that I really speak about in my blog a lot. So. And
it's interesting, isn't I remember like when I first started coaching, I talked to a lot of people and then they were younger and they were always wanting to fit in. And now I've talked to, because I look a little older and I'm a little older, talked to a lot more sort of older folks, and now they just want to stand out. And I find it so interesting, right? That in a way, it's like I coach them into doing the one thing that now they're getting coached to do, to sort of coached out of.
Right.
So do you ever experience, sort of those people that are saying, look, I don't, maybe I do or I don't feel like I belong all that much, but I want to be more outstanding. I want to live a life of my dreams, and I want to be successful, and I want to be happy. What do you say to those folks, and what have you found that's been helpful for people who want to stand out?
Well, there's nothing wrong in standing out. I mean, always like live your potential, but I always say like try to stay humble. Like I feel like if you're doing it from a place of ego just to get attention, to get validation, you're missing the whole point. Come from a place of love, come from a place of like that you want to help people out. Because the intention that you have kind of sets the energy, that people feel that. There's nothing wrong in that, but make sure that your intention is a good one. That you're doing it for the right reasons.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
Just the intrinsic motivation.
Exactly.
The extrinsic stuff doesn't last for very long.
Absolutely not. And if it won't last, and it won't fulfill you. That's why we see so many people are just not happy, because they're just hoping that that just by fulfilling their ego, that they're Yeah.
And ego is bottomless too. It's bottomless. You just toss stuff in there, cars and
now I'm not saying be like the Buddha and like, retreat into a cave. I mean, you got to find a balance, right? I mean, so
where can people find you, work with you? What does that look like?
Well, they can find me on my personal homepage, which is selineshenoy.com, and my blog, which is The Dream Catcher, thedreamcatch.com.
Love it. Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more Good Morning La La Land.
We are the Mouseketeers, and we proudly wear our ears. We mousin', we be mousin', M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, go Mickey Mouse. Good morning, La La Land.
All about living your life of your dreams today on Good Morning La La Land. Welcome back to Thought Thursday. Today, the question of the day is, Aaron did a great job of sort of laying out the importance of thinking in ways that are positive and constructive. And I wonder if you have one tip for people on how they can think more positively or more constructively to live a life of their dreams. So whichever of you wants to start first, go for it.
Ooh, think positively.
Yeah.
I think my biggest thing is that there's so much information, we get bombarded with so much every day, there's stress, there's lots of problems. Focus on the 5% that is positive, 95% might be negative, and that 5%, if you focus on that, I'm telling you, it will make your day, your week absolutely amazing.
Such a good point. I remember an Abraham Hicks workshop. I always say, most of us are like those people who find a pothole on Main Street. We live in like heaven, or we live in utopia, and there's this one pothole, and you focus on this pothole, the exclusion of everything else, and before long you're like, no, this isn't utopia, this is hell. It's not. It's just a pothole. It's simple. What about you, Seline?
True. I think trying to think positive all the time is a stretch. I mean, you can't. It's not possible, right? So I think what people should aim for is trying to be in the state of peace. I think peace and gratitude, just like focusing on thoughts of gratitude, being grateful that you're here on this incredible planet. I think that is something a lot of people take for granted. So, and just, I think gratitude is the best way to reach that state, because it just puts you in a different mind space.
Yeah. It's true, we debated a little bit in workshops and things like that, because I think that the positive, and we talk about this a lot on here, like, obviously positivity works when it works, and there's so many modalities, but there's a time when people just can't be positive because they have such trauma and they have such healing that has to be dealt with. And so it's, yes, we want to focus on what works, yes, we want to focus on the beauty and everything, but there's a time to heal and to do that work, and I think that that's the balance for people. What's authentic in their positivity.
Oh, such a great point, Aaron. I completely agree with you. And it's interesting, in A Course in Miracles, they talk about going from like the nightmare to the positive dream to eventually just waking up. And when you're woke, there's no dreaming. You're just present. There's no thought. You're just in the moment, and you're experiencing the moment for what it is.
Yeah, it shouldn't be effort, right?
Yes.
Like, you've done your work, you actually wake up in peace.
Exactly.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Also, Pema Chodron, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's like a Buddhist nun. I mean, she speaks about the benefits of actually feeling our pain, like processing it, just really getting in touch with that. Because it gives you a different experience of life. You go deeper. So there's nothing wrong with it. Of course, don't wallow in the pain. Don't get stuck there. But I think people should welcome that. Sometimes melancholy can be a good thing, a little bit of that.
We just take out the story when you're working with a client. You feel the pain, but you take away the story.
But
you just experience the emotion.
Correct.
It's everything, right? Byron Katie's book, Who Would You Be Without Your Story?
Exactly.
Well, you would be peace, and you would be joy, and you would be love.
Yeah.
So true.
Fantastic.
I'm just taking it all in. This is my morning.
She's
This is my morning life
soaking it in.
school. No, it's such an incredible opportunity to be able to have these conversations on a daily basis with some of the most interesting and fascinating, influential people, you know, in Los Angeles. So thank you for sharing your time and your light with us. And good morning, all. And we'd like to know what your morning routine is. And so we didn't get to start the show with that, but I'm very curious to know what your morning routine is. What is your daily ritual that you do to start your day and make sure it's positive?
Well, I think, you know, the morning is the most important time of the day because it kind of sets the pace for the rest of your day. So I try to make sure I meet the needs of my mind, my body, and my spirit. Now, for my body, I make sure I drink a lot of water. I drink a glass of green juice to alkalize my system because your body does get acidic overnight. Eat a healthy breakfast, work out for 2 hours, around 2 hours. And then for my mind, I read something inspirational. I listen to a podcast. I love Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. I don't know if you listen to that. It's really a good one. And for my spirit, I try to listen to some great music. And again, focus on feelings of gratitude. So that is my morning ritual in a nutshell.
I know Erin's question.
What?
What do you listen to your music on?
Oh, yeah.
It's inspirational.
You know, it depends on my mood. It can be classical Mozart, or it can be Native American shamanic music, whatever I'm feeling that day.
Nice. But what platform?
Is it an app? Do you use an app, or do you have?
Yeah, I use this app called Deezer. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Another one.
There you go.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
How do you start your day?
Right. As a guy, right, this is a good one.
Right.
We don't just roll out of bed, I suppose. I literally, I try and go to the gym every morning. I've got a great gym buddy, so that really helps. A lot of the time, I use a lot of mental rehearsal, not just, you know, before I go and present, but in the morning I map out what my day is going to look like and try and make it a positive one. I usually have 2 or 3 sort of motivational things that I want to achieve that month, and then I just read those over and over to put me in a good mood. And then, you know, eating a good breakfast. I love breakfast. I love you guys in California, love brunch. So I can sleep in a little bit. Yeah, you know, smoothie, you know, really good food, you know, and that usually sets me off for a good day.
I'm wondering, what about your facial routine?
Oh, here we go.
You're doing serums, you're doing eye creams.
Classic.
What are you using on your face?
So, yeah, so in the morning, I'll generally I'll do an exfoliate maybe once a week. You have a cleanser. I put a vitamin C serum on. I'll put a moisturizer, and sunscreen is the biggest thing. Whether you're in whether you're in summer or winter, you got to wear a good sunscreen. It's the biggest anti-aging
Keep it pretty.
prevention.
Keep it
Keep it
pretty.
real.
Yeah,
Keep it real.
pretty.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We are Good Morning La La
Thank
Land,
you.
America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Our interviews are also available as a podcast on iTunes.
That's right. We're waking up the world together. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and check out these fabulous people. Have a wonderful Thought Thursday.
It's going to be a Good Morning La 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 La.